hear anything. All right. And we are also we're launching live on Facebook, which we will have up here shortly. If you don't want to be on screen, you don't have to, don't feel compelled to turn your camera on, although we would love to see your faces. And we're just going to keep letting folks in before we kick things off. All right. I will turn it over to Miss Mary Ann.
Okay, thanks, Larissa. First of all, I just want to say for posterity here and for people that are watching, it is unusual for all of us to be talking together all at the same time. While I message online with these ladies almost every day, there's always a conversation going on a Slack channel or something like that. It's very rare that I get to see their lips moving while we're having a conversation and not just see 3 dots flashing on screen. So I am thrilled that we're doing this. I'm thrilled that we're doing this in Women's History Month. Because these are some of the most intelligent and gifted and talented email marketers that I know. And they're all women, and they're leaders in their companies, and they're leaders in their industries. And I'm so proud to call them my friends. So welcome. We're going to have a little conversation today. We're going to talk about some MailChimp stuff. We're going to talk about some email stuff, and we'll try to answer questions too. I think there's a chat feature or something. If people have questions, they can sort of throw it in there. But in the meantime, we're just going to kind of chat MailChimp. So why don't we all introduce ourselves to get started? I'm Marianne Pfeiffer. My company is 108 Degrees. We've been doing email since you've heard the words, you've got mail. So I'm kind of old at this game, but I still think it's fun and exciting and new, and every year it's different. So Larissa, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Awesome. Yeah. So my name is Larissa Reddy. I am the CEO of Nowhere Consultants. And I love Mary Ann's setup because I feel like we've been doing web stuff since well before WordPress, well before email marketing, since the 90s. So been doing this a long time, and very, very excited, as Mary Ann said, to see and be in this lovely virtual space with all of you, but especially these 5 other badass ladies. That's how I've been introducing us. Just can't wait to kick things off and answer some questions and chat through all things email marketing and strategy. I will kick it to Emily.
Yes.
Oops.
That I've met.
There you go.
Oh, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
It's always the AirPods. Yeah, I'm Emily Ryan, and I'm a MailChimp partner based outside of Chicago. My agency is called Westfield Creative, and we do MailChimp. But yeah, I was just saying that the best part of the MailChimp partner program for me is that I've met these incredible people that are here today. It's truly the best thing about it for me. It's very rare that you find people doing the same exact work in the same kind of niche, even though we still are all very different in what we offer. So yeah, I'm just thrilled to be here with you guys. And I'll kick it to Elizabeth.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth. My company is called Mocha Marketing. I have been in the email marketing space for over 20 years. And not only do I love MailChimp, but I love the partner group and the email industry in general. I feel like the people are what makes it so great. So I'm super excited to be here with all these other women. So I will kick it over to Vicky.
Hello, I'm Vicky. I'm not in the US, I'm in the UK, about half an hour outside London. And my business is Flick Email. Predominantly MailChimp, which is how I know these ladies. And I'm mainly kind of the e-commerce side, e-commerce businesses. I feel like I've been doing it for 7.5, 8 years, but I feel like I'm the baby with all this experience here. Absolutely. I'll pass to Alessandra.
Hi there, I'm Alessandra Farabegoli. I live and work in Italy. My agency, Palabra, does only email marketing and email automation. I've been in the digital marketing space for many, many years, and I'm still excited about it and to be here with all those great women. I think, is there anybody left? No?
I think you got us all. Cool.
Yeah, okay.
I love
it.
All right, so I'm going to lead us off with an actual non-MailChimp question, just sort of a general email question. We've all been doing email for a long time, even Vicky, who says it's only about 8 years, which is not long, long enough. But you know, you could do anything. Like all of you guys have a lot of talents. You could be using, you know, your talents in a lot of different ways. Why email? What is it about email marketing as opposed to other digital marketing or traditional marketing methods that captures you? That why are you here? What's your raison d'etre in email?
I'll start. It's about relationship. Email is such a personal space, and even if you send a newsletter to thousands of people, everybody receives it on their inbox, on their personal inbox. So it's a one-on-one conversation, and this is what I like. It's intimate and relational.
Yeah,
For me,
I would agree with all of that. I mean, I started in email with a lot of people who moved on to other areas of digital marketing, which is great. But I have chosen to stay in email because I think it's the best of the customer retention channels. And I just love that you send out this email and you know exactly what the engagement is and you can easily track it. So that's kind of why I have chosen to stay in email versus going on to social or other areas of the digital landscape.
Yeah, I mean, I
very,
think, oh, go ahead.
yeah, go ahead. No, my answer is pretty quick. I mean, it's just that it works. It works. You know, when I first started, we were like, okay, we're going to do websites, we're going to do WordPress, and we did some social media for clients. And we always kept coming back to email for every single client because we just found that it had the highest ROI and brought in the most revenue. And for us, it was easier to manage than a website. Websites are so hard. It takes someone special like Larissa to build a website. um, but yeah, we just found that email really works. And I love proving to people. I had a call with someone the other day and he's like, I just don't get it. And I'm like, okay, give me like 20 minutes and I'm going to tell you why email works. And
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with Emily. Like it for us, it comes back to the data as well as the relationship because it is a very like intimate and personal way to get your message across. And because of that, it does have one of the highest ROIs of any marketing efforts you can make. And it really is just something that like you can really, I mean, a well done email strategy, especially when it's coupled with like a website or another tool, you know, that can really kind of help build that customer relationship. It's just such a easy way to build trust. And I think that we all know from like being in business for as long as we all have been that like trust is really at the root of your revenue, right? And so if you're a business and you're trying to figure out like where is the best time to put my time and effort and energy, like really focusing on those levers that are going to get you you know, the most bang for your buck, right? I did a presentation in last September at Denver Startup Week that was something like for every email that goes out, like you can collect, you know, up to 10 cents per open, right? Per customer. And so if you extrapolate that out to a large scale, like you can really start to see where that revenue lives, you know. We had a customer, we turned on something simple with an abandoned cart email and they made $1,500 in 2 weeks, right? And so you really can just kind of see, you know, those instantaneous wins that I think are so elusive these days.
And I think building on what you guys have all said, for me, is that email doesn't die. Like as much as people like to say it does, if you just look at the amount of years people like in our intros, how long we've been doing this, so many people jump on like Clubhouse or Threads or the trends, but email is always there and it's you own it and you're always gonna own it. And yeah, it just builds and it just keeps going. I love it.
Yeah, I'm with you, Vicky, on that one because I'm old and tired and and I've been doing email for so long, right? And if I look back, you know, I've been doing this over 25 years. And so of all of the things I've done, there's only two things that still exist. There's email and there's websites. Everything else is new, so to speak, you know, in terms of the digital world. Oh, look, Emily has a visitor with her. Hi, sweetie. Yeah, email is it works. It's great. And I also feel like it helps us build that one-to-one connection over the long term because you can't guarantee somebody's going to open their social media feed or which channel they're going to open. You can't guarantee that they're going to visit your website and see the pages that you exactly want them to see. You can guarantee what's going to show up in their inbox and you can know whether they're opening or not. So I feel like it just has a lot more reliability and reportability than other platforms and other methods. So that's my take, but all great answers. So, okay, so let's pivot to MailChimp. And I want to think about like your favorite like tip or feature that you use MailChimp for. And Alessandra, I want to start with you because I think you and I use like very different things. And so I'd love to hear what your favorite like feature or tip is.
Well, I can say it's my absolutely favorite feature, but it's a very interesting one, and it's surveys and the possibility to auto tag people when they answer a survey. And I think this is wonderful because, you know, communication is it's not just about talking, it's about listening and knowing the people you are talking with. And I say with, not to. So knowing your people and knowing your audience is fundamental. And the survey tool in MailChimp allows you to ask people questions and tag them whenever they answer those questions. And this is very useful for segmenting, for personalizing, and so on. And by tagging people, you can also make automations start, which is an entirely other chapter that we will talk about after. So I really love this.
Yeah, that's cool. Who else wants to jump in?
I'll go. And pardon me if I mute you guys. It's mainly just for audio quality and making sure everyone can hear. Although we are happy to take your questions. You can drop them in the chat, or you can just use the hand raise emoji, and we'll make sure to get to you. Yeah, as far as like my favorite feature, I was a little skeptical at first when it first rolled out because it had some kinks, but I love the customer journey builder like so much. And I have come to rely on it because those were all automations. And for those who don't know, it's basically a really visual and clean way of being able to see the literal like path that your customer is going to take through their email journey with you. Let's say if you have, you know, a lead magnet or a landing page or something that is enticing people to sign up, you know, you can then nurture them all the way through on a schedule. And it is super powerful. We do a lot of technical development. So one of our core competencies is in web development and technical integrations, and the addition of webhooks into MailChimp has been really, really powerful. And more importantly, being able to bring those into the customer journey so that you can make decisions. You know, we integrated like a countdown timer, right? For someone who wanted to do, you know, these sort of evergreen time-based funnels. Really, really powerful stuff. And yeah, I like the approach that they took. It was super, super useful.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll kind of add on to that. Customer Journey Builder is also probably my favorite feature, not just to make sure that it sends emails on the correct path based on where someone is in their journey with your brand, but there are also features that don't necessarily send an email, such as tagging people if they come in from a certain source. I just did this recently for a client. We wanted to A/B test day of week, but not use the testing feature within MailChimp. And it was easy to split the audience that was in there, but then what do you do about brand new people coming in? So we created a customer journey that literally split people 50-50 as they came in based on day A and day B. And then they automatically would go into that correct test cell. And so that's not using customer journey to send an email, but it is using it to segment your data. So that's probably, I would agree with what Larissa said, that customer journey is definitely one of my favorite features.
Awesome. Yeah, a lot of people forget about that new split option in customer journeys. It's really huge. One of my favorite features is in the new builder in MailChimp. You know, MailChimp has two builders, the classic and the new, which is the future of MailChimp, I believe. There are a bunch of new templates that you can choose from. When you go to select template, if you scroll way down, like the first like 10 are very basic, but if you scroll way down, there are some amazing new designs that are actually really beautiful, and they're all totally optimized for mobile already. So take a look, because I think there's like 135 or something new templates. And one of my favorite things, because I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna pick something gorgeous from here.
Yeah, and actually one of my favorite features at the minute is in the new builder. I love that when you're uploading an image, it started the AI in there started to auto generate your alt text, and it needs work. I mean, you still have to tweak it, it's AI, but I love that it comes up with that reminder, because one, it makes sure you're getting alt text in, and two, it's teaching people about alt text and having that accessibility side and that deliverability, that having that in there is such a good reminder to make sure you're doing all those little bits like alt text. So yeah, I'm loving that at the minute.
I was shocked because I actually hadn't seen that until like this week. And I was uploading, it was a gymnastics company, and there was like a photo of girls doing gymnastics. And I looked over to the left, and it was like two girls swinging on a gymnastics bar. Like, it was like perfect.
Yeah.
And I was blown away, because I was like, this is what I've been dreaming of, like alt text generation. Yeah, it's not perfect, but
For real though.
Yeah, that's great, because so many brands do forget how important alt text is, especially when images don't display correctly. And I know we all think that you
Yeah.
send this beautiful email and it works and all the images load, but we've all been in places where we're on poor connections and the images just don't load. So
Or
that's
you're
why
using
alt text is
Outlook.
critical. Or
Yeah.
you're using Outlook, yeah.
I think Emily and I think all of us could probably have like a TED talk on like why you shouldn't send all image emails.
Yeah.
But a lot of brands still do.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. But yeah, it's
Mhm.
not a best practice.
See, I
Yeah.
almost never have to have that conversation, because we work predominantly in the B2B space, and so many of the B2B users, like my clients themselves, are using Outlook because they have to, because that's what their
Mhm.
company has. And so I'll be like, just go back to your default settings.
Yeah.
Now look at your email.
Yeah.
That's why we're not doing it. And they go, oh, okay. And then,
Yeah.
it just
But-
doesn't take much.
Vicky, like such a good point, and absolutely, like it is a lifesaver.
And like for us, we're quite aware of it, and so we will, like, it's part of our process when building that email. But if it just reminds like one person, or like prompts them to go, hang on, what is alt text? I'll go and have a look. It's gonna generate better emails all round. So yeah, I love that at the minute.
Well, also ADA requirements, right? Like if you want to make sure everyone can see your email. You want to make sure everyone can interact with that one-to-one conversation you're trying to have with them. And if they can't see things well, and your email is not formatted for their type of disability, then you've basically just shut them off from receiving any message from you. And that's not a world any of us want to live in, right? So
Yeah.
for that reason.
That's a really good one that you just mentioned, Marianne, because I had my email read to me the other day by, I guess Siri was reading it to me, and it was an all image email, and it basically just went to the unsubscribe information at the bottom. That was the only thing it read to me. And
Wow.
I didn't mean to have it read me the email. It just kind of automatically did. I'm not sure what I touched on my phone. But to me, that was a good reminder. I checked the email after, no alt text in the images, and it was all image, and it just went, there was not even preview text. So it just went directly to unsubscribe.
Which is not the message that most brands want to send, right? And I think
No.
it's about that empathy though, because like I think if you are not that person, like it's really easy to forget that not everyone has your ability or your capacity. And so it isn't until you kind of accidentally stumble on those things, or, and for a lot of us, that might be catching, no Wi-Fi on an airplane, right? And realizing that all you have is a floating, floating block of text that doesn't mean anything out of context, right? Or something like this, or that the majority of the value is, So it's, that's cool.
Yeah, we do a lot of brand work with clients, and I always say, okay, let's pretend your logo didn't load. Cover your logo. Can I still tell that this is you? Is there anything in the text that makes your brand message distinctive? Is there anything about, even pictures? A lot of us have to use stock imagery. They don't all have custom photos, but what are you doing to that image to make it feel like your brand? What are you doing to the layout? What are you doing to the wording to make this feel like it came from you, so that if they went from this email where they didn't see your logo to your website, they would be able to relate that to the same brand. That's really important in email, because you don't know what else they're going to do. They may not click to go to your website. They may just look at the email. What brand impression do you want to leave? So it should be accessible to everyone. It should be strong on your brand message. It should be positive. It should be rewarding. It should be something that they were glad that they got. And I always go back to, like, even during the pandemic, some of us had to send some very terrible messages, right? Things are out of stock. We're never going to see this product again. By the way, you can't come into work for 3 months, right? But you could still use email to create a less awful version of that message if you created it in a way that was sensitive to the people receiving it. So all right, let's pivot. We talked a little bit about, you guys, a lot of you guys were all over the customer journeys. I'd like to kind of pivot to, like, there's customer journeys, but MailChimp also has classic automations. I know, Alessandra, you use that a lot. How and when do you make that decision, and how do you make the best use of both of them?
I mean, the new customer journey builder is such a huge improvement of MailChimp experience. It allows to make real flows, really automated flows. And as Elizabeth pointed out, it allows you also to make flows that don't just only send emails, but they can update people's information and so on. But classical automations have one thing that I'm still waiting for from the new customer journey builder, that is, they can be triggered by a specific link. So if I have, say, a series of emails that I want to send to people, such as on-demand content, I can prepare a link. There is a specific merge tag that I will write after in the chat, and I can call that automation and send a specific contact to that automation. And this is maybe the only real thing that is really better in classical automations. For the rest, you can experiment with a new journey builder, which is improving, which is adding new features continuously. And I really like it very much, but I still wait for that specific feature in the new one.
That's a great feature. I mean, I still use classic automations for one-offs. So if there's not a real journey, there's just a one email response.
Yeah,
sometimes classic automation. Yeah, it's like the journey builder's overkill. I don't need all of that. I literally just need one thing. And the classic automation, you can kind of knock it out really quickly. And I like it for that. Anybody else use classic for anything?
When I have to get really specific with, like, days and times, I still like that, or pulling in merge field, like triggering off certain merge field. But no, I think I've mostly converted over.
Wow,
Yeah,
look at
same
that.
here. I think at this point, I have some clients who were on Classic and just haven't migrated certain campaigns, but for the most part, I've completely moved to Customer Journey Builder.
They made us all converts. It took a while. I was like, oh, I don't need this. And I was like, just kidding. Yes, I do.
Now I use it all the time.
Yeah.
Emily was saying about the kind of in the new builder, there's templates. In the customer journeys, there's like those pre-built journeys, and I don't necessarily use them, but they're a good way if you haven't made the switch to customer journeys and you want to know how powerful it is. Sometimes just scrolling through how many pre-built customer journeys they've got, and like especially the integration options and what can come off the back of those. Yeah, when you start to scroll through them and you're like, oh, and I could do this and then yeah, I'll go to customer journeys.
Yeah,
That's
someone
true.
asked me the other day about Shopify and customer journey. I was like, oh, it's all there for you. You know, it's definitely, the way to go. There's a ton of customer journeys, but yeah, I do think I don't use the pre-built ones, but I think they're available for, anyone that is using customer journey, and it's a great way to get started and just come up with ideas too.
Yeah, the idea is
filter
integrations as well. You can see the whole list. Like, yeah, it's a good way
you can even start with the pre-built one and then layer on segmentation and A/B splits with it. So it's a good starting point as well.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so since we're talking about journeys and since we've all committed that we are using them at some level, let me ask you guys, because so like Vicky, you and I have like very different audiences because you're more B2C, I'm more B2B. When you guys are doing a welcome journey, an initial journey, how many steps do you recommend people use and over what kind of time frame? And I know everybody's different, so you're not going to write the same prescription for every patient, but like in a rough average, where do you guys start from? Because I think that depending on who you focus on, there's a difference, but also there's some similarities. So I'd love to hear what you guys do.
Oh, I can jump in then. Mine are usually quite long, so I don't know, 10 to 12 emails. However, I will caveat that by saying there is usually a lot of if and else in there. So if you've got like a long welcome sequence, it might be that they are coming in and they haven't purchased before. So I would split between has purchased, haven't purchased. If they haven't purchased and you're putting them through a long sequence, if they make a purchase, you're going to bring them out because they're going to go into a post-purchase. So although they can be very long, doesn't mean everyone's going to get them. So it's kind of, again, loving the customer journeys for the logic. So mine are usually quite long to try and warn people and get that first purchase. But I will be bringing them out at some point when they do purchase and putting them into other automations. So yeah, quite long, longer than you would think, maybe.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. Like it just kind of it depends on the nature of your business, what the goal is you're trying to achieve. Some are 3 emails, some are 12 or more, and you do remove people based on where they are. But I also always recommend going through a mapping exercise at the beginning, because once you get into actually building, it becomes very confusing if you don't already have an idea in your head and a kind of a map in the path you want to send people on.
Yeah.
I think it can get very overwhelming very fast and get messy in a way. So I think it's always good to map it out so that you know if you need 3 emails, 12, 24, it really varies.
Emily, I think you were gonna.
Yeah. I obviously think the longer you can build something is always better for automation. But I will say with pretty much all of our clients, we always recommend to start with a 3 email welcome series, because that's kind of like a good starting. Honestly, even 1 email, I will be happy if you don't have anything, at least just have one running. But 3 to me is kind of like the minimum. Like let's get 3 emails out there. But yeah, I mean, I've worked with people who have 11, 12 email welcome series, 7 or 8 emails. So it really does depend. Obviously, automating your life, the more you can is better. So.
Yeah, it's funny because we usually recommend 4, right? So I'm right there with you on like, how can we kind of get like a solid, because it's enough time to kind of gauge the list, especially if you have colder traffic, right? And so I think that if you really are trying to, like, let's say that you have a product or a service that's really selling well, and you're ready to kind of start ramping that up, and so you're opening yourself up to people who don't know you as much, right? Who don't know your brand as well. I think that's where that length is going to benefit you. But even if you just have like, you've got an audience and maybe, you're sort of slowly adding people through like purchase behavior, or, you do a lot of events or whatever, right? Then like, that 3 to 4 range, I tend to agree with Emily, is like it's enough that like people kind of know if they want to hear from you, right? But it's not so scarce that they're going to miss you entirely, right? And so I think it's kind of that nice place to land to kind of test the waters.
Yeah, see, I work in a lot of B2B, and we tend to have a longer education process. So that education process could be 12 months long. So how many emails do you want to deliver in 12 months? And then how many do you want to deliver that are part of a welcome journey versus part of your regular sort of newsletter-y campaigns? So we sort of have to slice and dice the whole plan up to determine what's part of the welcome journey. Also, because for us, the welcome journey is a lot of times coming out of people who are in your CRM. How did they get into your CRM? Was it entered by a salesperson? Did they visit your website? Were they part of an advertising funnel, right? So as they come in from the CRM and then are passed into MailChimp, that's the criteria we're using to say, listen, you're an old lead. You've been in the CRM for like 2 years. This is the first time we've talked to you because we just hired Marianne. And and so we're not gonna hammer them with like 3 emails a day over the course of the next week. It's too much. They'll just, they'll run away screaming. So understanding the sensitivity of how they're getting onto the list for us is a big part of determining what should be in there. And also the relationship that the person might have. Like if they're someone who's been a customer of yours and you're trying to reintroduce them to
Yeah.
your new brand and your new website, that's a
Right.
different journey than somebody who has never heard of you before and came in through a Google ad. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Alessandra?
Yes. The only thing I can add is that not everybody should necessarily have the same welcome series. I generally start simple, a few messages, but then we start to design the differentiation based on roles, based on the purchase history. Are they already customers or not? Where they subscribed, because depends on the circumstances they entered the list. They may have different information, so they may need different things and messages. So we start to differentiate, and maybe this is not getting to be only one flow. This is getting to be many flows that interact one with the others.
I
Cool.
think I am still surprised when brands don't even have a welcome message where you sign up and you get nothing. And then maybe 3 months later, you get a marketing email and you don't even remember that you signed up for that brand.
Like, where'd you come
So
from?
when we talk about customer journey, I think we also have to go back to like the very basic of you should have some type of customer journey, even if it's just like a one-off, welcome email, so that you acknowledge that someone has signed up for your email list. But yeah,
Mhm.
customer journeys can go from super basic, like the one, to super complex, as we've all talked about.
Well, they go 3 months because they haven't hired you yet, right? And they get all these names and they go, oh, I guess I should call that Elizabeth lady I've been thinking about. So
So everyone should just set up a welcome.
set up a welcome. So let's just like hang on this topic for one more thing and then we can jump on to something else. But so we're talking about welcome journeys. We're talking about, these different automations. I think a couple of you guys mentioned that you do sort of some kind of abandoned cart series. Like what else are you using, an automation series for besides a welcome?
If we look a little bit, so I'm going to speak a little bit more holistically, not just specific to MailChimp.
Yeah.
But there are certain systems out there, MailChimp adjacent, I'd say, that use like browse abandonment, which can be really powerful if you have an e-commerce product. And I don't necessarily care if that's B2B or B2C, right? Because like you can, and especially if it's done like tastefully, right? Because I think that can get a little bit out of hand.
Creepy.
Yeah, a little creepy. Getting a little creepy. But a well-timed like browse abandonment or abandoned cart or oh man, I mean, just so many of those others. A welcome back. We're working on one right now for a small brand that has every 6 months, right? Like if they haven't made a purchase, then we just send them like a hey, how you doing? Right? It's been a while. And in his case, he's got this really cool location-based business that like you go and like rent out these little spaces to have like you can just go play drums essentially, right? And like it's a great way to like get out of your house and go bang on some drums without having to have this set up in your place. And he's in all these different cities. And so for him, it's like a really nice thing to be able to say like, hey, it's been 6 months since you've come and like made some music. Like what's going on, right? Need a break. And just being able to turn that on and set and forget it and offer a little bit of a, incentive maybe or something is really, really cool. And it's a unique business model that I think, browse abandonment doesn't really work for him, right? Abandoned cart can, but people, there's not a ton, right? People are either booking a lesson or they're not. But I think that those are those business cases where it's like, oh, this is actually a pretty cool way to do that. And I mean, a lot of that's built in. I mean, we're using his website platform to send that. Like we're keeping it dead simple, right? And it doesn't have everything that I want, but like it's not for me, right? It's to serve him. And it's like, oh man, if we can just take this off your plate, like let's do that.
Yeah, I would say post-purchase and lapsed customer, regardless of if you're e-com or B2B, I think it's really important to have both of those because people come in and out of your business depending on where they are in their own life. And sometimes that simple reminder of, oh, we're here is enough to get someone to re-engage.
Yeah, a very basic automation I often use is the one that distributes content, on-demand content, just like maybe a knitting pattern or a small course or a series of mails about a specific topic. And it can be it can be both a lead magnet or a perk for people who are already subscribed to your list, and which is very basic, essential, but effective.
Yeah, it's interesting you said that, Alessandra, because in the chat, someone mentioned wanting to know more about which lead magnets are working and what are effective ones. And that's like the perfect sort of matchup is if you've got this automation and it can deliver that lead magnet, and now you've got an audience that's excited about your content. I know for us, we do a lot of educational series. So, and that can be based on, typically for my customers, it's based on some kind of interaction with sales in the CRM, and they're going to get tagged as something. So they're tagged for this product or this application or whatever it is. And based on what's in the CRM, we're going to feed that into MailChimp and launch them into a series so that they've expressed interest at some level through a form, through a conversation with the sales team. They've been tagged, and now they're going to get this drip, and that drip could be 6 weeks, 6 months, a year and a half, depending on how deep the product is. But it keeps them coming back. And I've had clients who said, listen, I just need to stay in their inbox because I can't make them purchase this product that's $150,000. They have to have budget allocations for that. They have to have all kinds of approvals and da, 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 da. So it's not going to be a fast sales process, but as long as I keep showing up in their inbox, when the budget is approved, when the need is high enough, they're going to pick up the phone and call me, or they're going to reach out by email and call me. And then I can start my sales process. So for us, education series are huge, especially ones that are triggered from other sales activity.
Quizzes. Quizzes still slap. It's kind of funny, but they work. And so we have seen a lot of success with like a really simple quiz or questionnaire. Right. Pricing calculators are also pretty interesting and something that we've been playing with. So like getting a sense of like, especially, and I mean, like the it depends answer is really common, but I think the reason it depends is because like if you're not in an industry where a pricing calculator makes sense, then like don't use it, right? But I think if you can drill that down into like kind of what is the fundamental that a pricing calculator is doing, right? It's getting to the core of the first question that customer has when they come to your website. And so I don't care if it's a pricing calculator or a square footage calculator, or I don't care, but you can find something that says like, well, why don't you tell me more about you, dear prospect, right? And I will provide you with an answer. And then as such, right, you're also going to now get more answers from me because I'm going to sign you up to my email list.
Cool. I want to move away from automation for a minute because we've talked a lot about that. And while it is a super huge and powerful feature and something everybody should be using, especially if they're using MailChimp, there are some other really great features. And I think a big one is segmentation, right? The ability to take your audience and slice it and dice it into, a very honed, targeted group for a specific message. So, personally, like we do a lot of work with CRM systems. So we're going to pull information out of a CRM and use that and find the metrics that are valuable for the sales team to, try to slice and dice. But I'm curious how you guys, especially if you're sort of not in my space, because, you're doing a lot of e-commerce, or how are you using segmentation to hone your messages and get to a more personalized conversation with your audience?
Alessandra, Vicky, you want to kick us off? Curious, especially from the European perspective, right? With like privacy and data tracking, how does that work?
Oh, yes, you can, you must consider also permission issues because you can't liberally use all of your data if you don't have the profiling permission from your contacts. So unless they gave you explicitly their consent to use the information they gave you. So zero-party data are very important. And how do you present the advantage of telling information about yourself? Because so this is very important. We actually work on this issue during onboarding, because this is one of the most important moments of the relationship. It's when they are interested in what you have to do and what you have to tell. And so this is the right moment to ask them to tell information, to allow you to use this information. Apart from this, it's important. I think you can't add relevance to a message. You can only take off irrelevance. I don't know if I can explain very well, but you cannot make one topic more relevant to me, because it's important or it's not. But you can understand if I'm not interested in this and avoid sending me a message about it. And I think this is really the most important thing when you are segmenting. Understand who to exclude from your communication. And I like that now it is possible to, when you choose recipients, the possibility to exclude a segment from your communication, from your email, which
I
was
love that.
missing feature in Mailchimp, but now we have it.
Yeah,
that's great.
It's great, especially if, for brands who tend to send to the majority of their list or their entire list. If you want to suppress a certain segment of people, I think that's really important. But segmentation in general is critical.
And using go ahead, Vicky. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to
Actually-
build on a couple of points that Alessandra made, partly it being important in onboarding, and also combining that with what she said about surveys and auto tagging off back of surveys, because that's something I've done a lot in those kind of first welcome automated, because there's that balance of asking people for too much information when they're signing up, because we don't necessarily want to give all of that information on signing up. So building that trust with your onboarding, then surveying them and asking them for some of that information. And a good kind of use example of this is one of my best clients is like works in the pet industry. So it's kind of like we were asking, so how many cats do you have? And are they indoor or outdoor cats? Because then we can tailor our content. And because cat people are such a good engaged audience, it works perfectly, because then every kind of correspondence we can do after that is really segmented, and kind of, if we're selling things in bulk, we can pick out the people that have 2 or more cats, because they're more likely to buy it. So yeah, I think it's combining a couple of those things you said, Alessandra, like the surveys and the auto tagging, and also building that trust, then asking for a bit of information so you can do really good segmentation.
I think that the preferences center is a great overlooked tool. I feel like I've been talking a lot about like empathy and marketing lately, just because, like, I don't know, AI and people, and it's all complicated. But at the end of the day, like, I think that so like we had people are sending lots and lots of messages, right? Again, to the general list. But even around like sensitive holidays, right? We'll see this, not everyone wants the schmoopy Mother's Day message, right? Not everybody wants, to hear about certain things. And I think that, as Alessandra said, actually just perfectly, you explained it. Like, you can't make someone care about a topic, right? They either want it or they don't. And you're not a mind reader as the marketing expert, right? Or the email specialist, but you can, if someone is trying to either leave, right, your list, or when folks are signing up at the beginning, just kind of getting a temperature check, hey, what matters to you, what doesn't, right? But a preference center can be a really great tool, because someone might get something that, they don't love from you. And if they go to unsubscribe and you take them to that preference center and it's like, hey, quick check, right? Are you just mad because we sent you like too many emails about this thing that you don't care about? Or like, are you just done with us? Right. And like giving them that option and that half second to think about it. They might just be like, oh, well, I just don't need to hear about, maybe they lost a pet. I don't need to hear about this anymore, right? But I care about something else, right, that you offer. And so I think that those are really important and simple ways that aren't just sales driven to think about an audience segmentation. Emily, I know you're juggling a
Oh,
toddler,
Lord.
but
Yes, I have a sick child here. No, I did just want to chime in real quick if I can. For one of our biggest clients, their prime time of the year is the holiday season. So they have a lot of subscribers that are literally only there during the holiday season to purchase, and then they go away. So during the other like 9 months of the year, we're really only sending like we really want to scale down and really segment the rest of the year because we want to keep those people so that they're there next holiday. So like January, February, we're sending to like really engaged, active openers, clickers. We're excluding a lot of people. We actually have a holiday preference, like only want holiday emails. So we exclude those people pretty much the rest of the year. So really thinking about like, holding on to your subscribers. Like you don't want to blast people when they don't need to be blasted. So hold on to them.
Please never blast anyone. Who wants to be blasted? I don't want to be blasted. We're
still hear-
communicating. We're communicating. We're not blasting people.
I still hear a lot of people saying, oh, can you send that email blast? Or I sent that email blast. And I'm like, no, don't use that word. We're done with the batch and blast days.
All right, we have about 14 or so minutes left. There's so much we could talk about with Mailchimp, but I know the thing that I get asked all the time that people tell me that they love to hear are like our stories, right? So I want to ask each of you guys to tell me a story, like a nice success story or a favorite pet project or campaign that you've worked on recently that you think people would in general find interesting. And it doesn't have to be specifically a Mailchimp feature, but just in general, something that email was really useful for. And if there is a feature, then go ahead and mention it. So who wants to start?
I can
Elizabeth.
go first, but I'm going to combine email and SMS because Mailchimp launched, I think it was late last year, middle of last year, their SMS feature, which
Finally.
I think it's only available in the US as of now, but I think that will be changing. And I had clients who had asked me about SMS and I would ask them, and there was never an interest because I work with mostly small to mid-sized businesses. And then when it launched in Mailchimp and we could really make it part of the email strategy, there was a lot more interest. And I have one client now where we really combine their SMS and email marketing. As of today, you can only get on their SMS list if you are also subscribed to email because we only promote it through the email channel. And we're using it for one thing and one thing only because they were very concerned about sending too many messages. It's just to talk about weekend in-store only deals. And they do announce it on their social media, but you will get early access if you are an SMS subscriber.
Nice.
And it's actually worked very well. It's growing slowly, but I think slow is good. And every time we send one, I see that people like it or comment on it, and they're getting people to kind of engage more. I think over time, this just started in November of last year. So I think over time, we'll be able to see like, are the people who are on both channels more engaged, better customers, or are people engaged on one channel over the other? But I think it's really nice that there are ways, instead of just having the same message go out to both your SMS and your email list, that we're really combining it in a very strategic way and kind of growing it from there. And we'll see. We may do more with SMS, but for now, this is giving us a good guide of how people are interested in the brand.
That's really cool. Who else has a good story to tell? Vicky, I know you have a good story. Come on.
I was trying to think of one because I was going to tell my cat story, and now I peaked too soon. Let me think on it. I'm trying to think if I can bring one to mind that would be kind of, yeah, share.
All right, I'll jump in with one because I don't use so because a lot of my customers are not e-commerce related, I don't get like that quick win. Like a lot of you guys, you can send an email and you're like, oh look, they just sold $500 worth of stuff from my email. I don't see that because it could take a really long time. But I do have one client who is it's a consumer sale, it's travel industry, but the buyers are professionals in business functions. They're, high net worth individuals. And so even though technically it's a personal buy, they sort of treat it a little bit like a B2B buy. And so and these travel events that they're buying, they're big. Like, they're taking 10 people on an event. It's going to be a $250,000 spend. Like, it is not a small thing. So we've been sending emails for this client for several years now, and she comes back to me at least twice a year, and she'll be like, "So that email we just sent? I just, booked another, travel event with it." And one of the last ones she booked was somebody who she said, I literally have never actually talked to. They have been in my database because they worked with somebody who worked for me for a while. I haven't actually worked with them. They've just been getting my emails. They do open my emails regularly, and they booked something with me. And I never even had to talk to them. I never had to pitch it. I never had to present for it, because back to where we started when Alessandra started, she was like, you're creating this one-to-one relationship. This person feels as though they have a one-to-one relationship with the owner of the company, because every email we send comes from her personal email address. It includes her picture, her personal contact information, and they've been getting it for years. And this was not a small purchase. This is tens of thousands of dollars, and they never even picked up a phone or replied to an email. They just went to her website and said, please book me for, da, 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 da. So that to me felt wonderful because, well, first of all, I think she just paid my bill for the last 5 years and the next 5 years with that one trip. But also, the idea that she's created this relationship with someone, just through email, just through this one digital channel, and it's real to them, and it means something to them, and they are trusting her with a significant purchase and a significant event in their life. And all of that trust was bred through her email. So that to me is pretty cool.
Alessandra, you're off mute.
Yeah, I'm thinking we work with many nonprofits, and it's such a satisfying thing to work on these projects, because we can help them to do their things in a better way, to communicate and to tell. They have so many things to tell, so many stories, and they can add so much human touch to their messages. And their main problem is time and how to organize things. But when they understand that they can automate many of these messages and make a beautiful, nurturing series to tell all the things they do, so it's so satisfying. And we recently had a talk with one of the nonprofit projects that we are working with, and we talked about how to differentiate the nurturing series, how to understand when people start to donate, and if they are the one-time kind of donors, or if they can be convinced to donate in a recursive way every month or so. And it's so interesting to mold the message, trying to understand what kind of person is on the other side. I like this project very much.
That's
and
cool.
email is such a beautiful channel to make them grow.
I thought of one now, Marianne. This recent project, it didn't generate money, but it saved money. So this brand had like the trust. If you ever worked with Trustpilot and the fees they have, like if you have all the widgets and the high level of the Trustpilot, and it was their fees were just going up. So what we did was they went down to the basic pilot. They still have their Trustpilot, but we use email, and we split it. We send a review request through Mailchimp to people that have made, I think it's 3 or more purchases, And then we split those. We send some to the Trustpilot page and ask them to leave a review there. We send some to their Google review page. So they basically were able to save a load of money on all the Trustpilot sending out all the emails for them. And we were like, well, let's bring it in-house and direct people once they've made, like, when we know they're repeat purchases. So yeah, that was a recent one that works well.
That's cool.
Cool.
Larissa, you got any for me?
I mean, I can. Mine is we work with a lot of unsexy businesses, so like accountants, blue collar, right? Which is great. Like those are really stable companies and lovely people, and they very often feel like they have nothing to send. And it's just not true. And so I think for us, like, it's not about like, they're not selling anything through email, right? But we do a lot of education. And really just reminding folks and taking the time to pull from like QuickBooks, let's say, right? Which Mailchimp does now integrate with. And I think that's one of the coolest things that, has come out of the acquisition that QuickBooks went through, or Intuit went through when they purchased Mailchimp. And so making it easy for them to just kind of keep in touch, right? And sending those monthly newsletters that say like, hey, these are your upcoming tax deadlines. It's kind of like having an accountant in your back pocket, because you're not always thinking about it in February, right? You're not always thinking about it when your quarterly taxes come through, or come due, right? And so just taking those little opportunities. And for us, it hasn't been, again, it's not about sales, it's about cutting down on the number of calls that they get saying, hey, when can I, and it's like, it's in the email, guys. So we're just going to let you know when tax planners are ready. We're going to let you know when there's an update, right, to the code. We're going to let you know. And it's really, even if they do get those calls, it's a really great way for them to be like, hey, hop into our mailing list and you'll get that on a regular basis, right? And so again, it's not, you don't have anything to say just because you don't have some super sexy discount that you can offer, right? Or whatever. Like, you have plenty that your customers want to know, that you can kind of get in their heads and help them through it. And we see a crazy open rate and a crazy engagement rate. And I mean, they are a small accounting firm in rural Missouri. Like, you would not expect them to have, the performance that they do.
Yeah, that's really cool. Sometimes it's the least sexy emails that are the most important ones, because they're the ones that build the relationship when there isn't anything.
100%. I think we all get really worried about like sending like the perfect email. And sometimes it's really just like, it's just about sending the clearest message.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
Right.
it doesn't have to be
Clear
fancy
and simple.
And put a clear call to
sometimes
action
just
in
works.
it.
Yes, like just direct, clear, intentional. It doesn't have to be beautiful. You don't have to be a master writer. You just have to you have to know what your audience wants to hear about, and then be able to communicate that well. Does anyone have any questions while we have a few minutes before we wrap up? I know Emily had to hop off, unfortunately, because being a mom is tough. Yeah, so Leona, that's a great question. Leonie, I'm sorry. Can you recommend any courses for people relatively new to email? I've already done some on HubSpot. Yes, I'm sure we all have some that we like. I will let other people start. I have a course that I've been working on building, so I won't self-promote too hard, but
I do tell people
Domestica on Mailchimp.
yeah. If you wanted an Italian, check with Alessandra. No,
It's an Italian, but with translations.
Oh, okay. I tell people to start with Mailchimp Help, because it's not going to give you everything, but it'll give you like this sort of high level overview, so you can at least understand which features you might want to dig into. Like, maybe you're really into SMS, maybe you don't want SMS, maybe you don't know if SMS is going to be right for you. Start there and get a rough idea. And then, some of the courses that are available from some of the Mailchimp partners can dive you deep into the features that, are the things you're really looking for.
And I think we all have newsletters or blogs that probably provide, some information. I don't personally do courses, but I'm glad to know that some of the rest of you do, and I'll refer people.
All right, Larissa, go ahead and self-promote. Nobody else is jumping in.
I know. So I was going to go grab my own link.
Alessandra put hers in the chat, so we'll have that.
Okay, I love it. I will go grab mine. So it actually launched it's sort of it's being what's the word I'm looking for, reprised. So it used to be called sexy email subject lines, but fun tip, putting sexy in your subject line or in your is not awesome. And so it's actually the name change is called write emails that get opened. And basically it's a deep dive into, it is intended for someone who has a list. It can be a small list, but you need to have a list just to kind of like set good expectations around what you'll get. Because it really is about understanding kind of how to strategically craft or build your content, as well as things like your subject lines, alt text, that kind of stuff. And then if you are someone who finds yourself sending introduction campaigns, like, hey, I'd like to get to know you more, or I'd like to figure out a way to do business. Obviously, making sure that you have everyone's consent to send that message. Then it offers some of those templates and tools. So while other people are answering, I'm going to go grab my own link because I suck at my own marketing. Fun fact, I could probably hire any one of these lovely women to like help me be a better business owner.
It's always easier when it's not you doing it. That's
Oh
sort
my
of the rule.
God.
It gets done when it's not on your list.
Like, why are we so bad at this? So,
Cobbler's
please.
kid, man.
Dude,
Cobbler's
I'm telling
kid.
you. I am telling you.
All right, well, we are at time now, so we'll give Larissa time to find her link so she can add it to the chat.
It's coming.
But if there's anything else anyone would like to add before we leave? All right, I'm going to call it then. I'm going to say thank you guys. I am so excited to see and talk with all of you face to face. I think, Elizabeth, I talked to you in the last month, but I don't think I've talked to anybody else in the last month face to face. And it is so nice to talk to you guys and see your faces and hear your voices. I'm so glad we did this. So this recording, this is being recorded and it will be made available. I think we'll all sort of do some version of it, and we will notify our audiences and people who are responded to our posts on social media about it. So if you'd like to watch it again and hear from these lovely ladies, we would love to put that out to you. So thanks everybody for coming.
Yeah, and also just we'll all take a second to drop our emails into the chat. Just make sure you have our contact information, and then I'll make sure to post at least links to website or social or anything like this when we do get the recording finalized, and so that you can all come back and know who we are and why we're talking to you today. Thank you all so much. This was great. I hope
Yeah,
you all
a lot
had
of
a good
This was
time.
great.
Really?
This was a lot of fun. Thanks
Yeah.
everyone for joining.
Yeah.
Great to see you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bye, bye-bye.